All right, ladies and oh, looks like the game's crashed. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Unfortunately, Dota's decided to crash, so I'm gonna have to restart that. That's a bit of an awkward intro. Didn't realize it just completely froze. Give me 1 second. I'll have it back up in just a sec. All right, sorry about that. That was rather unexpected, but we are back into the game. IG versus CDEC, game number 3. We are currently at a 1-to-1 between these two. Of course, it is MLP Dota and John X Fire. Unfortunately, John is currently in the ladies' restroom, or just restroom in general. So,
What? I'm
hello,
here.
John.
Hello, Mike.
I had an awkward intro, John. My game crashed as I was introducing myself.
Lovely. Lovely.
Good to have you back.
Yeah, it's good
Game's
to be back.
draft started, John. CDEC versus IG. 1-to-1 so far. Pretty interesting best of 5 we have. We're going to see at least 4 games between these two, which I'm very excited about. But regarding the draft, it has begun. IG, they get the Centaur Warrunner up. CDEC, they'll go for that standard Mirana Shadow Demon opening.
Yeah, I like this opening from CDEC. They've really worked the Mirana quite well. James has been very consistent on the hero, just buying a lot of space for CDEC. IG opening with that Centaur is really interesting. They go with Lena next. You have that Centaur-Lena combination we've seen before, and it can get the work done. So IG has a solid opening as well. A lot of ways to build around this pair. We'll see exactly what the draft is going to entail. Going to be interesting to see. They have to correct their draft issues from game 2 here for IG. I think the Centaur already gives you a lot to play with, so that's a good start for them.
Certainly is. And especially with this Mirana, like CDEC made so much happen with it in that previous game we just saw. Now you've got it even easier with the Shadow Demon setup. Because IG have a pretty devastating lane in the Centaur and Lena. So both teams essentially starting off with these very deadly combinations. We talked about last game, the IG draft. It was arguably a little bit greedy. They had 2 farming cores that did take a bit of time to get online. And CDEC basically just shut down Emo on the gyrocopter, which meant that Fly wouldn't have as much space because Emo needed the same space. I did make the comment last game as well that it just didn't seem to fit Emo's playstyle to play a core like that, like the gyrocopter. I'm kind of hoping they give him something a little bit different. It just doesn't seem to fit the player.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't. Hopefully enough they give him something he can excel in. I like seeing the ban outs from IG. They banned the Lifestealer and they banned that Clockwork this time. So a lot of respect to 123 just setting up the pace there for CDEC. They don't want to be facing up against that Mirana Clock anymore. And I can understand why. IG just copped a really hard lane there. So they're just making things easier for themselves. You do see the Gyrocopter going to CDEC this time. Solid pickup for them. I'm not too upset by that. I think they have a lot of room to make that work. Going to be interesting to see what cores they take to complement that.
Certainly will be. Because the gyrocopter's been so darn popular as of late. And I do like the gyro in this lineup much more though. Like so far anyway, the Mirana Shadow Demon, it just seems to fit better with these selfless kind of supports. Don't really require much levels or just gold in general to make things happen. IG have hardly any reserve time once again. They'll get rid of the clockwork, so they don't want to have to go up against that anymore. Because 123 made a lot of work happen. And well, this third pickup, they have 20 seconds reserve time left as they do pick up the Witch Doctor. And that is a hero we have not seen throughout the whole qualifier.
Yeah, that's an interesting pickup from IG. Not the most common support. It can still get work done. I'm kind of cautiously optimistic about this one. I love Witch Doctor. I think he's really potent. I do think that the game has kind of shifted away from his playstyle and from what he contributes in team fights. His control is not the best. It's basically just mini stuns for the most part that bounces around. You have to be really lucky to get those consistent bounces. Of course, there are situations where you can maximize that. The damage he gets from his ultimate and from the curse is pretty good. But again, it's not the most consistent. Very keen to see just how much IG does pull out with his hero and what else they're going to be drafting here.
CDEC now. Fourth pick for them. They do not waste too much time. They'll go straight into the Beastmaster. And the Beastmaster has had a lot of success over these qualifiers. Been doing a great job overall. Really, with any team, it's just been performing so well. IG won't think too much. They'll go into the Chaos Knight. And, well, there's a face we've seen here and there. I don't mind seeing this come up, John, but do you have any problems with it at all?
I think it's a fine hero to have. It does kind of tie in with a Witch Doctor. You want that aggression early on. You're going to be pumping up the damage with a Maledict that does allow for early aggression. You do have decent response from CDEC, though. Gyrocopter can just flat cannon through those Phantasm Illusions. Of course, those Phantasm Illusions can eat right through a Gyro if you're not careful. It is interesting. I think if you lose out in the lane, you're going to have a hard time playing catch-up with the CK. Just the nature of the hero. Doesn't flash farm too well. You could use the Phantasm to farm. We have seen some players do that, and I think it's fine. If you're not going to be forcing a fight anyway, you might as well use the spell to accelerate your farm. Get yourself some catch-up gold. That is an option. Still, the last pick is really what ties in IG's draft. Because if you're just going to look at the first four, I'd say I still like CDEC's draft a bit more. Much more solid, much more consistent, much safer. Overall, I don't see anything too threatening from IG's draft to really worry about just yet. Their last pick should tie it in. The TA comes out. So that does tie this draft in a bit tighter. You do have that early aggression that can...
Uh-oh. Looks like your internet may have cut out again, John. I agree with you, though. The TA does seem to be a very nice pick. A lot of momentum, a lot of tempo being set here with this IG draft, and they can fight very early on. Going essentially completely opposite to the last game where you saw they were just trying to farm up, trying to get to that late game stage. Not so much this time. The CKTA can fight very, very early, and they can farm a lot faster. Well, the TA can farm probably faster than the Gyrocopter, and start being aggressive with that Deso Blink that we see so often. CDEC, though, final pick for them. How do you round this draft off? They are lacking a mid, unless you're going to run the Gyro mid, but we just saw what happens if you do that. It wasn't very impressive at all. They'll pick up the Razor. We've seen this up against CKs. The Razor is just a pretty standard pick. Just sap away all that damage, and the CK really doesn't do much after that. I've still got to say, IG's draft does look much more threatening. And CDEC, arguably, it's going to be a little bit tough. If the CK does manage to find Eve in a team fight, can just blow him up with those Phantasm Illusions. Especially if he has Emo there as well, just taking all that armor away from Eve. But XM has been on point today. See how much work he can get done with this Razor. And well, it's a 1-to-1 anyway. No one's getting knocked down after this game, but someone's certainly gaining the lead. See who that is going to be. Because it'll be interesting to see how well Ollie performs on this Witch Doctor, because it has been a while since we've had the pleasure of watching one. Should be able to have quite a bit of early game emphasis with that Maledict. Especially with the CK, if you manage to get the stun off into Rift and the Maledict, it can be very, very painful for whoever is there. But as well as that, you've already got the Beastmaster on the other side of things. He's very hard to deal with just in the lane. You'll probably have James there with 1, 2, 3 in that off lane. Try and sort this CK Witch Doctor duo out. And we'll get into it. Game number 3 of this best of 5. And immediately, as we get into it, there is a pause that comes out. Looks like CDEC may be having a couple issues.
Hello, Mike.
Hello, John. What happened? Just internet?
Well, yeah, just like me, my internet decided to take a bit of a dump. So, what do you expect, right? Really good day for that. Nonetheless, what did happen? Like, it's a last pick Razor, if I'm seeing this right?
You are correct.
Right, that's interesting. It is going to cause issues for the CK. Don't get me wrong, if he does jump in, doesn't catch the Razor out, static blink goes off, it doesn't disappear with a Phantasm. So you will be able to isolate the real one. I like this response from CDEC. Though this is some really aggressive moves. We haven't seen this all game, but they are looking to punish JT, who tries to get a couple of retaliate stacks up.
Oh, Arrow will whiff. James just a bit late with that. It may not matter though. The body blocks are there from Victoria. Not a good start with the Arrow, but certainly a good start with the first blood on XM. And Eve gives a ... And CDEC, for the first time, actually using voice lines against the side of IG.
Yeah, it has been slow going. I was wondering, it felt like we were missing something, but it's finally here. I have to say, I'm not sure how to feel about that first blood. On the one hand, they got the kill. JT. On the other hand, they gave JT 13 stacks of retaliate.
Uh-oh.
So I don't think he's going to be too unhappy, Mike.
We'll find out. Not going to be the hardest start in the lane for JT, apart from that first blood. Kaka going to get disrupted now as well. Is there an Arrow follow-up? Yeah, there definitely is. They're not stopping. Very aggressive here from CDEC. As they get a 5-second Arrow off on Kaka, and he's just going to be chased down now. And that'll be another kill going to the way of CDEC, thanks to this this duo of Mirana and Shadow Demon. And now they'll send James up to the top lane, only after he's set up 2 kills for the team.
Yeah, it's a lot of value already coming out from James. This is the first time in a while we've seen that early Disruption Arrow combination in play. It does pay off, and that does give James that really good start. He has a nice amount of gold for himself. Should be building up to good momentum in that mid-game.
Of course, I was commenting on this offlane of CDEC. I mean, it's always hard to go up against a Beastmaster, but with this Witch Doctor, once you have a couple levels in Melodict, if Flyby gets the Rift as well as the stun off onto any of these two, it could be quite devastating how much that Melodict damage does come out to be.
It certainly can, and you can play around with those Beastmaster summons as well, just bouncing back and forth there with the casks. Unfortunately, Ollie is learning the hard way why Witch Doctor is not in favor. One armor and a hero that at range tries to play poke doesn't end well. James can really just whittle down this Witch Doctor quite fine.
It's a lot of damage.
Yeah, that hurts. Ooh.
Gonna run out of regen quite fast on the Witch Doctor at this rate. God forbid he cops an Arrow. I mean, it's basically his death straight after that. We'll have a look at the mid lane. Emo and XM going to be up against each other. Emo, with this Razor lane, I mean, it's going to be harder than your usual TA lanes you have to be up against, but he should still be okay. I mean, I can't really see him dying. I imagine Emo, if he struggles too much, he'll probably just rotate to the jungle as every other TA does. But he does find a double damage, and he will try to make it very, very useful. In fact, XM copying a lot of damage from Emo. He won't go any further in case the rotation comes out. It looks like he will just at least dominate the lane with the DD for now.
Yeah, it's a nice little turnaround. He does need a little bit of help down mid. So fortunately, Ice Frog decides to give him that help. But it's not an easy time. As you mentioned, TA relies on that physical. Razor, of course, punishes physical cores. So it's just a bit of a hard farming lane for that TA. Has to play in that jungle later on. And, you know, if you can hold out at least in the laning phase, you're okay. But if a rotation comes out, you're going to be slowed down by quite a fair bit.
You know, we were talking about JT before with those stacks that he did have. It looks like he's actually top of the last hits board right now on the Centaur. Not struggling at all. Doesn't go for the hoof stomp though onto Evils underneath the T1 tower. Cop a few rockets as punishment for his actions. Although there will be another LSA coming out from Kaka. But again, JT just out of range to really get a proper hoof stomp off. And he won't risk it. Top lane, however, Fly will end up going down. You can't really underestimate how much those boars slow you down. And of course, James was there with the follow-up damage. It looks like Ollie just wasn't there at that time to try and really help out. It was just too late by the time he got there.
It's a rough time for the CK. You can't afford to bleed out too much in the laning phase. You don't naturally flash farm fast. The only thing you really have to help you farm is Phantasm for the most part, and you really want to use that spell for fighting more than farming. Still though, if they find a kill on James, that would be nice.
Arca does end up going down. Eve with the pickup on the gyrocopter, very easy one at that. JT will try and harass him out of the lane once again, although Arrow top lane on the CK does land Fly. Still going to be able to back out, but Ollie may not be so lucky. They got the Maledict off, but it won't matter. Ollie slowly but surely being taken out, and yeah, they'll grab it. Now Fly showing himself once again. 1, 2, 3, thinks about diving the tier 1 tower. He will not really go that far. James may with an arrow. It does whiff, however. So now that'll be the end of that. Ollie is back in the lane, and it's enough of this chasing Fly underneath his own tower.
Yeah, it's a rough time for Fly. He's just not able to maintain his presence in this lane. He is still finding the last hits. That's the one positive for the CK. So you should be able to be at least finding something in that sense.
JT on that bot lane is really out farming Eve now. 30 last hits, 8 denies on the Centaur. 17 and 3 on the Gyrocopter. And as I say that, Ollie gets the kill top lane on the Beastmaster, so he does finally get some revenge out. Does get a fair bit of harassment taken though, as the Boars just continue to chase and James is just giving it back to them. Ollie try and clean those up with the cask. Emo, mid lane. Gonna get static linked up. Disruption will be there as well, but no real kill potential here. Emo will just be fine with that. Arrow will not connect either. It was just completely off. Instead, they'll go back up to the top lane now. So everything's pretty standard across all lanes. I mean, everyone's just farming up, trading farm within those lanes. Looks like Emo has done very, very well considering the circumstances for himself. He's actually top of the last hits board of the TA.
Yeah, he's going to be able to escalate quite a fair bit. Kaka has been stacking up for him. So there is a lot of catch-up farm to be had for this TA. Going to be very nice to see him accelerate quite fast.
Fly. They go for the Reality Rift straight on the Beastmaster. 1, 2, 3. There will be a drop on Fly though, as the Starstorm does go down from James, and now Ollie going to be chased down once again. 1, 2, 3. Going to be disrupted to try and avoid that melodic damage, but it will be no good. Nevertheless, you're going to find 3 heroes for the price of 1. They just clean up. James on this Mirana has just been haunting these guys at the top lane. It's just not even a contest.
Yeah, it definitely has been a good showing from James. Almost the same story from game number 2 a while ago. Just getting a lot of work done for his team and really forcing big responses from IG for no real gains. Now, the one thing that is happening with all these supports up top is that you do have Eve playing catch-up in the jungle now. Can't really sustain that bot lane anymore. So he's just going to be finding farm elsewhere, trying to get that build-up on the gyro. Not the fastest game for Eve. You are getting a lot more on the map.
Another Fly kill though. Great setup with the disruption. An arrow from James. XM joins in for that tier 1 top tower. They're really, really shutting this CK down. Just not giving him the time of day. going to put a lot of pressure on Emo to try and pull it back his team's way in the mid game on that TA, because he is farming decently considering. But still, CDEC look to try and run over IG in game number 3. This is certainly the start you'd ask for. Although,
XM.
Yeah, they find XM on the Razor, and that is not what you wanted. You don't want to give those kind of kills away. Does go to Kaka on the Lina. Not too big of a deal, but IG's certainly just going to be happy with that nonetheless.
Yeah, it's a bit reckless of XM. He wanted to farm up that enemy jungle, but there were wards watching him. So he does pay for that with his life. Still though, a 1k advantage for CDEC. 9-4 now. They've cleared out the top lane. They've slowed down the CK. The biggest thing is the fact that Fly is not finding that farm. As mentioned earlier, this guy does not flash farm well. They might be making a move up here though. James, very nice target.
Moonlight Shadow will be popped, however.
The vision game from CDEC has not been as good. They've been walking under wards with sentries, so these rotations have not been paying off just yet. They need quite a fair bit more sentries to really take control here.
There'll be a smoke from IG. Go down to the bot lane. They're going to try and apply some pressure, maybe find that 10-meter boundary rune. XM is farming the Radiant side jungle. They're not really going to try and go for him, though. He's a very hard target to pursue. Fly, what's he got coming out? Looks like it's just a glove, it's a haste for him. We commit the Stampede. They are going to chase 1, 2, 3 up at the top lane. Raw has been committed. LSA does connect, but 1, 2, 3 just going to continue trying to juke it out and could try for a TP attempt, and he won't even need to. He just walks out of there.
That's surprising. They commit a lot of heroes for that rotation. They commit an ultimate as well. Doesn't pay off in the end. 1, 2, 3 going to be counting his lucky stars that he got out there scotch-free. They will clear out the stacks, though. At the very least, this is not going to be contested. And that's a good amount of gold and EXP going to the sports now.
IG, perhaps go for another smoke attempt. They do group up as 4. They are going to head down to that bot lane. They'll see James there on the Mirana. He's currently pushing out the T1. Do they have the lockdown? It's really up to JT, but he doesn't have a way to really initiate with a blink or anything like that. He hasn't got that. Instead, they'll go after XM on the Razor, but Moonlight Shadow comes out. They drop a sentry, but they don't have Dust available. So IG just finding absolutely nothing with that 4-man rotation. And meanwhile, Eve will just take the tier 1 mid tower for free. And it just feels like IG's getting a little bit desperate here. I mean, perhaps they're just trying to create space for Fly, but Fly's not really getting too far right now. He's just having to farm the jungle, and even then, still feels like he is being watched. And he is. The Hawk is there, keeping eyes on him.
It's rough, right? You need to somehow get Fly up to shape to take these mid-game fights. But you're not finding the pickoffs you want. You are just kind of trading farm up against a Gyrocopter and Razor. And XM is definitely building up. He's inching towards his BKB. Once that's up, he's going to be so much more confident in these fights. You don't have the physical damage to burst down that Razor, especially since one of your cores will get static linked anyway. So it looks like CDEC does understand what they have to do. But IG's not giving up in the aggression. They're still playing in this enemy jungle. They're trying to find something emo. Just running around, trying to get something done with his blink. But without the Desolator, he can't find those solo pickoffs.
Looks like he'll get back to farming the Radiant jungle. Perhaps they just wait out someone to show up in the bot lane. James, again, not going to be the target they really want on the Mirana. And just leap away. XM, also, again, a very, very hard target. It's probably not the option they would like either. And yeah, they're just going to leave it be. Just leave the jungle. This is not going well for you, IG. Eve is currently watching you in a smoke as well, apparently. They might just try mid. Eve will clear out the creep wave, though. No chance of that happening. And just the options for IG on this map right now just seem so limited. At least you have Fly with the Midas, so he has some sort of catch-up potential. It's just a matter of space to use the Midas.
It's not the fastest Midas in the world. That's 14 minutes in. Pretty telling sign for IG. But they are still maintaining something of a network parity. Less than 1k lead for them now. They have slowed this game down. They've just got to hold out a bit more. Get Fly online. Get a couple more items on Emo. He is really close to that Desolator. And once that's up, you can really start taking control from CDEC.
At least you have the blink now up on JT, so you have that initiation on the Centaur. This might make it so IG can actually get something done or try and catch somebody out with their pants down. They do give the pings out to XM on the Razor. So JT says, let's go. I've got Stampede available, I can blink in. XM, though, has already started retreating. It's going to be another missed opportunity for the side of IG. They just won't be able to get there fast enough to catch him out. They may have the same option, though, top lane, but you're going to have to take a full-scale team fight as CDEC, RS3. They're going to start pushing in that top tier 2 tower, and IG, if you want a team fight, this is probably the time to take it up that top lane. Instead, though, it looks like they are going to try and trade the bot tier 2.
They could probably get a good push going here. It's going to be a bit rough. You have a lot more bodies up top. You have a lot more minion summons as well. It does feel like CDEC should get this objective first. They can TP back in if they want to death.
Bot lane, looks like CDEC are actually going to be the ones to initiate here. Call down will be there, JT. He commits a Stampede immediately. The deny on the tower from Eve, and now the arrow from James. Holding JT down. They've also got a Witch Doctor, but Ollie will be able to TP out of there successfully. But James with a very nice arrow from the Mirana. With that IG, I mean, they don't get the T2 tower gold either. It was denied from Eve, and they lose their core Centaur.
It's a pretty big loss for IG. They're really playing on the back foot here, just trying to find what they can on the map. But that aggression that you're looking for with this kind of draft is not coming out. You know, Fly's not ready. There's only so much Emo can do alone. I do believe that's his Desolator up, so he's going to be able to melt through a lot more heroes now. Can they get in a position where they can take advantage of that item pickup? Probably if you invest a lot. You're really going to have to get a lot more smokes going, a lot more vision game, although 1, 2, 3. Just onto Emo.
Yeah, gets roared up it seems. And Emo just melts up and just tries to act as if he's not there. He will be able to blink out. There will be a smoke from IG now. What do they find here, though? I mean, they're going to go mid. James is a nice, easy pick if they can find the hoof stomp, but JT does not jump. And it just seems every time they see James and they're smoked up, they just do not want to try. I feel like just pick up the Mirana kill and leave if you are IG, but they're just not interested whatsoever in dealing with this Mirana. Instead, they'll go into the T1 mid tower. They've got the Deso up on Emo. Arrow will not connect. And so they'll just try and get the T1 out of this. Still not an easy team fight. I mean, XM is there waiting in the tree line as well. And IG, I mean, their top lane, the tier 3 was being pushed in by 1, 2, 3 on the Beastmaster. Kaka, meanwhile, is being chased down, but he does fight the haste rune on the Lina. He'll be able to get out of there safely.
It's really just a slow game from both sides. Neither one taking any big risks. I can get it from CDEC. And they understand they are pretty much ahead. even if it's just slightly, but they know that they've gotten what they want from this map. You've denied that early aggression from IG, although Fly gonna be trying to find a kill. He popped the Phantasm.
He did, but there's the Moonlight Shadow. And, well, no Phantasm kill coming out for him. Well, Eve does show himself. He's going to try for it. Reality Rift is there, but Fly, you don't have any detection.
He's just gonna TP out. I mean, it's a bit of a shame, but yeah, this is the story of the game. You know, kill attempts that don't work out. Top lane though.
Yeah, they'll fight 1, 2, 3, but do you have the kill potential? They Laguna, but there's the disruption coming out. James is immediately after Kaka on the Lina. Wild Axe is clearing out the tree line, and Kaka understands he's dead. He'll sit there and man fight for a bit, but he has no choice as Emo now melded up. A very awkward position. JT is there to help out as well. They go for the hoof stomp on 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
Emo now just going to really melt strike the Shadow Demon. 1, 2, 3 will commit the Roar on Ollie, so they'll be able to find the Witch Doctor out of this. And IG, they are coming back in. They want to try and surround. Emo coming around the flank. The BKB is there from XM on the hoof stomp. They'll go after the Mirana and they will take down James. That's a lot of gold going to the way of Emo now on the TA.
Yeah, that's a massive win for IG. They do get a couple of kills that might not be their highest priority, but that does still give them gold. Even a spot of trouble now.
He is, but they don't have the Laguna really burst him down. Though LSA does land. Kaka continuing the chase, has another Dragon Slave, doesn't connect that, and the Laguna was 2 seconds away. But he just couldn't quite get there. Eve, very patient with the BKB as well. He just doesn't use it at all. It was a good play from him, understanding he was going to be able to get away from that.
Yeah, right on the edge for him. Still saving that 10-second charge for whenever the team fight breaks out. He is farming up straight to the Butterfly. With how the pace of the game is going, I wouldn't be surprised if the next fight just breaks out when that item is here. Does look like both sides are kind of taking it easy. At the very least, the cores are. So you are seeing Fly just trying to farm up. Eve as well. There is a smoke though.
CDEC. So they don't mind picking up Kaka. It's just a support kill, but they'll take it. In fact, no, they'll ignore that. Perhaps a Roshan attempt, and yeah, they'll go straight towards that Roshan pit. They were scanned out for a bit, but they may not assume that CDEC has gone into the Roshan. And it looks like they haven't. Roshan is dropping very, very quickly. Now the IG TPs start coming in, but it is way too late. Hoopstomp is there on the Demon, but Victoria is going to be okay. They do Laguna him, but he's still alive. Kaka eventually finishes the job off. The Roshan is done though, and Eve does have the Aegis of the Immortal. And so IG looking to try and force something in. They may go for a T1 mid-tower, but you are fighting into an Aegis. I don't know about this if I'm IG.
It is a pretty hard fight to take as IG. They might be able to take the tower though.
All down will be there. Everyone blinks out. IG. They don't want to risk it. That's fair enough. They found 1, 2, 3 though with the TA traps, and he has no way out of this one. Fly, Phantasm up with the stun, and he will clean up, although the Roar comes out. I didn't expect that one coming, but I suppose it is still a low cooldown, so probably won't bother 1, 2, 3 too much. And that'll be the end of that. IG, they find another pick.
Yeah, they're going to be happy with that. 12-9 now, a 2k advantage going to IG's way. Mainly riding on Emo. So the TA is eating all of this farm, which I think is fine. They're at that point where the damage coming out from Emo should be enough to take these fights if they force it. Issue is, forcing those fights has not been easy. Neither side has been really committing too hard. I mean, if you look at Eve, he still has a 10-second BKB charge. It almost feels like he should have gone for something else, maybe a Maelstrom to speed up his farm. But he has that backup in case he does get jumped.
Very slow game between these two. Still 12-9. There is a net worth lead for IG though, so they have kind of clawed their way back into this. CDEC probably still holding the momentum in this all this though. Emo. Bot lane will TP up. And Emo is really the saving grace again for IG. He's got a Hurricane Pike up and he's really farming very well on this TA. He's top of the net worth board. Looks like he does want a Lincoln Sphere next. What's that added defense up against that Shadow Demon and of course the Beastmaster Roar. 1, 2, 3. Moonlight shadowed up. Rest of the team is there as well. Down at the mid lane, trying to find a pick off.
Just really defensive from both sides. They do avoid the gank. Let's see whether or not IG does force something out themselves.
Well, CDEC are just going to hold the high ground of that dire jungle.
I mean, the game's really slowed down here. We're at 25 minutes, 12-9, 2k lead for IG. The map hasn't really shifted. Control has been even on both sides. Still have Tier 1 up top for CDEC. Tier 1 up still for IG down bot. So fairly even so far. Mid-tier 2s are both up for both teams. The question now is, going into that late game, or the mid to late game, are you going to be able to hold out as IG with your fly CK? Or is the timing a bit off? In my opinion, you know, it does feel like the CK peaks out early. And that's the tendency we do see with a hero. You just want to take that early advantage with your tanky illusions. But they haven't been able to force fights. This is actually working into CDEC's hands, even if they are on a network deficit. Their cores just rise up and still do a lot more in that late game. Whereas IG, even if you get all the gold in the world on Fly, he has to play around Phantasm, which is 145 seconds cooldown, which means the pace of their game is just a bit slower anyway.
CDEC gonna start moving in. They've Moonlight shadowed up again. Can't find a target though, IG. They are sticking just completely away from the side of CDEC. Just rotating between their two jungles. Getting those core items up. CDEC, I mean, you brought up the question as to whether the CK would drop off. I'm starting to question whether CDEC's going to drop off. The Razor doesn't seem great when you get to that late game. The Gyrocopter, yeah, it's still pretty good.
The Razor, I'd say the Razor's actually still pretty damn great. I think it's down to the fact that Static Link is not dispellable. So you'll be linking up. If you get the real CK before he rifts, before he Phantasms, that's really big. And if you get the TA, of course, Emo is just never going to have a good time. That's one weakness of this draft. It really gets ruined by a Razor. I'd say that refresh pickup on XM is actually really smart. Just having double links is great. They are going for a fight now, though.
Yeah, they found Emo on the TA. There'd be a massive pick, but he goes for the Hurricane Pike. Melt Strike straight on Victoria. Meanwhile, bot lane, nobody's there. They've all TP'd up top. Emo does melt again. They have a sentry from James. He goes for the TP. Emo, can they cancel it? No. The arrow was not there in time. It was just running off cooldown and he threw it out as fast as he could. Unfortunately, it will not work out for CDEC as they will lose a 2-for-1 trade.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
CDEC still holding the kill lead, but IG is certainly holding the net worth lead.
They're riding off the back of Emo's TA, and he has been doing the work. But I am still concerned for Fly. He's caught up in farm. He doesn't have a net worth advantage, so to speak, like 100 gold. Behind the Gyrocopter is not too bad, considering start. They've got to clear out a lot more of this map to really slow this game down from CDEC. You don't want this Gyrocopter farming into 40 minutes in. You don't want the Razor to work up to his Refresher Orb. And, you know, him getting tankier with maybe a Heart, maybe a Butterfly coming out, or a Halberd at some point. All of that becomes really hard to deal with. So you have some utility going into the late game for CDEC. You have the same thing for IG. Although for IG, it definitely feels like they are going to be riding off the back of Emo's pickoffs. Right, so Emo's going to be setting the pace. You can kind of follow up with Fly.
Oh, there goes John again. The CDEC. I'm not sure about this personally. I think the butterfly is nice in the gyro. Though Lacuna comes in, Kaka just takes down half his HP.
Radiant are scanning.
And bot lane, I mean, it was being pushed out. There will be a TP out by JT on the Centaur.
Under attack.
And both teams again just dancing around each other. CDEC not feeling as confident as they should be. IG, kind of a similar story. Though they are getting there. Fly. I have Skadi up. Looking pretty tanky now. Of course, Emo has been pretty well farmed for quite a while. And he's almost at that level 25 mark as well. They will go for a smoke. See if they can make something happen.
Dire are scanning.
They jump in. Hoofstop is nice. The disruption will save Eve for now. Meanwhile, Fly goes after the Mirana. The Yules will be there to save it. Now the Roar comes out there. Fly trying to make a run for it. He does barely get away, but 1-2-3 is still chasing. The axes will connect. Fly still juggling that armlet. Trying to survive the best way he can. He goes for the rift. He understands he's dead. It'll be a 2-for-0 trade. And it was just the disruption coming out from that Shadow Demon Victoria, saving Eve's life, not allowing them to burst him down. And as well as that, the Mirana getting jumped by the CK, she just used up. He just couldn't do anything in time. The CDEC looked to take another Roshan.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's middle tower is under attack.
CDEC with the smoke now. Trying to push this advantage. 1-2-3 jumps in, doesn't get the Roar attempt off. There was a Lotus Orb there on JT to save. They may find Kaka though on the laner. He is down at the bot lane. James. Looks like he will find the Yules into the arrow. Be a very easy pick. Does get the 4-staff off on the laner, but it will not matter. Kaka did already cop the stun. CDEC now looking to be in the lead going into this. Almost 32 minutes in. They've got the Maelstrom up on Eve as well. It's just coming out on the courier. So things will go as normal. Wi-Fi will just keep trying to farm up. The MKB is now up on Emo, but I don't really think that's the problem. Just a matter of having the control for the gyrocopter in these team fights. It just doesn't seem to be there right now. And CDEC with this Aegis are going to try for the T3 tower. Fly in position, ready to go, and they jump in with the hoof stomp. Still no Phantasm being popped yet. They'll hold out until the actual full-scale team fight's been started. Looks like CDEC, they've had enough. They're going to back out for a little bit, perhaps just reset. In fact, they'll go after the tier 2 mid tower. We'll see a smoke from IG though. Looks like they're ready to get on the low ground, and well, JT, he's already had his smoke broken by James on the Mirana once again. IG, I don't know if you continue to jump. I think you kind of just have to let this tier 2 go down. Eve, he feels the same way. He does take it for free.
I'm back, Mike.
Hello, John.
Hello, Mike.
CDEC, they do seem to be in the lead now. They just take the team fights, winning them as well, though James has been caught out with the Yules, but they don't hit the LSA. Just leaps out of there.
Had some fast reflexes on that Yules from James. buying him enough time to get out. Phantasm pop by Fly.
They're jumping in, 1, 2, 3. He gets the roar off. Now Fly going on to Eve, but doesn't really find the damage he wanted. At least forces Eve to use that BKB. Moonlight Shadow will be popped once again. CDEC looking to go back in. They still have this Aegis on the Gyro. Still also got the cheese available on your Razor. Arrow, Emo, he actually cancels his own TB. And James is just going to continue to chase on this position for Mirana. He has a double damage rune, but it doesn't make you invincible. Still, he will force them back for that banner rune though. Bot lane, there could be a fight breaking out. Not quite though. CDEC will manage to find at least 3 banner runes, and that'll make it the 4th. So now only a 1k gold advantage for IG.
It has been a fairly even game so far. The gold advantage has been pretty steady. The Aegis does expire, so it's going to be a bit harder for CDEC to force a fight, but they're not dissuaded. They're going in.
Yeah, Roar is there, Arrow to follow as well, and, well, Fly, he's all by himself. No help coming into the shrine either. Emo, he thought about it on the TA, but just wasn't a fight to take. CDEC, they'll move into the mid lane where the tier 3 tower is just open for them to take. It'll be a slow process. You don't have that Aegis, so you're not as confident. But until that CK buys back, you know you have the advantage.
For sure, you have the dual siege creeps as well.
Move stop is there. It's a lot of damage from Emo, but James jumps in straight onto Kaka. And that forces out a Stampede, and now the Witch Doctor ultimate comes out. It doesn't really do too much, and Eve, he actually found Kaka anyway. The Stampede just did not matter. They will find James and the Mirana at the very least. So it'll be a 1-for-1 trade. CDEC, they'll back out of there. There's no need to risk it any further. And IG, they just remain on the back foot.
It's a rough spot to be in, right? You lost your tier 3. You're forced to buy back in your Lina. And now you're going to try to find something. They are still on the chase. Playing aggressive.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Lane. IG starting to move in though. 1, 2, 3 just jumps in with the roar. Once again, the Witch Doctor will be the choice. Although Gyro falling low, trying to go after the CK still. Eve, he doesn't mind too much. He'll go on to Emo, he'll go on to Fly, and Fly, well, he's falling very, very low. Not quite dead yet, but they'll get the Yules off once again. Arrow was there to follow. It wasn't even necessary as Ollie now being slowed up by XM. They'll try and turn this. The buyback is there though from 1, 2, 3. Emo, he may find James and almost, yeah, he does. But XM is going to chase him up. And you don't want to really lose your TA like this, but you may not have an option in the matter. As the Beastmaster is going to be the target. Hoof Stomp is there from JT. They're really dragging this team fight out as long as possible. But JT should go down the scent, and he does. And Ollie will be allowed to TP out on the Witch Doctor.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
And Emo's currently just melded in the mid lane. He's just chilling out. He does eventually leave.
Really even fight that did cost a couple of buybacks on CDEC's side. They're going to be happy with those trades though. They did manage to find Fly. Unfortunately, there is no Roche to take. So they're going to have to try to find farm around the map if they're not comfy with sieging the high ground just yet. It is a hard ask. You're playing up against a Witch Doctor at some pretty solid high ground defense in and of itself. Even with those kills, you're not going to be too comfy forcing the issue. So they're just going to build up. When this Satanic does come out in Eve, it's going to be much harder to force this guy down. He's just going to be able to stand up, man fight. You don't really have the burst damage to take care of him. So I can definitely see Eve taking over once that Satanic is up. Oh, let's jump in.
And they jump in, Emo. He chased down. Yules will be there onto Ollie, so maybe just go for the Witch Doctor kill instead. It's just a much easier pick to make. Homing Missile will still follow. They've still got the TA as an option. 1-2-3 though breaks the Lincolns with the Roar. It's a bit of a shame. Looks like he couldn't really find anything else to break the Lincolns with. With that, CDEC, they'll still find the bot shrine. It will allow time though for Emo to pick up a full Daedalus now on the TA. So you still have more damage coming out on Emo, and he's really the only thing you can rely on now for IG. Fly on the CK just seems to be controlled every single team fight. So it's all up to Emo to get this DPS out.
That courier's in a rough spot. He's using it to scout the pit. Does get taken out. So, nice pickup for CDEC, I guess. Not the most amount of gold, but you do deny the ferrying capability from IG for a bit. Really surprised they had to use their courier there. They have a TA. Surely the traps could come out.
Smoke, mid lane. And try and make something happen. There is a refresher orb actually now available on XM and a BKB on 1-2-3. They smoke up as well. Light Shadow to boot. IG. It's hanging around that mid lane. One, two, three. Smoke on Karka may break soon. But they seem to know. Ollie gonna get spotted, gets roared immediately, get rid of that position 5. He's just gone. He'll buy back. Now Fly tries to go into 1-2-3, but has no damage. The TA does, however, and does take him out. Still though, Eve going after JT. There's the Stampede being popped. Looks like they are not giving up this chase. James, he wants more. Fly tries to turn around, but has no damage. And meanwhile, Emo, I'm not sure what he was up to, but he's been left behind. At the very least, he is going to scout them out going into the Roshan pit. And now they realize Emo's still there. They want to chase him down. He'll blink away, and I don't believe they're going to be able to catch up. But that Hawk is going to give more vision. Arrow will not connect. They TP to the shrine. They really want this damn TA. Emo, though, going to blink again, and he wastes a hell of a lot of time. CDEC originally did want to go for the Roshan attempt, but they try for the TA kill. It will not pay off.
It's a bit of a shame. If they did get that kill on Emo, that would have been a guaranteed Roche, or at least a buyback coming out from Emo to not give that Roche for free. Still, though, it's a pretty favorable trade coming out here for CDEC. Do have that 1k advantage for themselves, 23-15. Oh.
Just a Hurricane Pike. Eve doesn't really take too much damage. He's perfectly fine. So 43 minutes in, a 1k net worth lead for CDEC. We'll have a look at Dota Plus, which is currently saying that 64% is the chance that CDEC do pull off this win.
It's a game of patience. The series really has been all about patience. A lot of games have really dragged on till late. Like, we have a refresh now on the Centaur. So you're going to have that. Oh, did he get a refresh? I saw a refresh pop out in someone.
No, he did.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. No, he's just buying and selling it. Yeah, he was just playing around a bit. He does queue up the Ags. I believe he is going for the Ags instead. Okay, so you're going to have that Ag Stampede now. A lot more control. That makes the pit much harder for CDEC. And just means you're not going to be finding that instantaneous burst when that ultimate does come out. But they will go for the Roche pit.
Now hold the Roshan for now. IG are just around that Roche pit. They want to try and go for some kills before they go for that. James, been on point with the arrows today. See if he can land another one to set up for his team.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
And 45-minute balloons will come up. Both teams just going to go for those instead. Looks like IG will at least find 3 for 1, so they do get a bit more gold out of that.
You are starting to approach that point where Emo doesn't really have too much room left to itemize. He's going for that BKB next, but it does look like you've reached the peak of this TA. So you start to look at Fly, and he's just about an item off or two until he's completely slotted up as well. So we're at that point in the match where it's down to the sports and down to the initiation how these fights turn out, because you've got all the form in your cores. The Roche pit is going to be taken over by CDEC now, but there is some pressure in their bot tier 3.
Still the Roshan going to be gone. The pressure on the tier 3, I mean, it's there, but it's not that heavy from Karka. In fact, he gets punished straight away. 1, 2, 3 gets the roar off, pops the BKB, wants to claim an easy kill, but the Stampede is going to be there on Karka, and he's actually going to be able to get out of there. And IG now making a beeline towards the bot lane. Be an easy pick off onto XM, but they won't try for it. They'll go through to the mid.
Could get the jump here.
XM. One around. They go for the hoof stomp on the Mirana again. They just want James dead, and he's gone. Eve already popped the BKB as well. XM trying to find somebody with his shivers. It looks like they might find Fly, but he's BKB TB, but no. 1, 2, 3 will refresh his roar. Does find the kill. With that CK down, I mean, he does have buyback available, so try and force that out if you are CDEC.
Not going to be too scared of CDEC if the buyback does come out. You know Phantasm's down. That's a lot of his damage just taken away. They are going to be able to confidently take these mid-racks. But their bot tier... Oh, what? Emo is trying to go for tier 4s.
Oh, alright, fair enough. Emo's going for a base trace. I don't blame him. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, there's a 3-man stun from Karka. Double hoof stomp coming out from JT. They're going to try and fight this out. The bot lane, there is still some action as Ollie is going for a solo pick off onto James now. James going to be alright. Pops the Moonlight Shadow. Emo is going to go after the Razor, but he'll be able to get out. And Eve...
James died.
Oh, James did die.
That's a dieback. On the Mirana at the very least.
From a Witch
Don't
Doctor.
manage to find more objectives. Yeah, it's the Maledict. It's the Maledict.
Solo pick
surprised
off
he didn't-
from Ollie of all things to die to. That's
I'm surprised he
crazy.
didn't pop the cheese. He has that cheese. Doesn't have buyback for 7 minutes. You'd think it's worthwhile, Mike. Doesn't come out.
Now IG, they smoke up. They realize they've got an opportunity. Straight through to that tier 2. IG, they want some pickoffs. They realize the Mirana is going to be down for a bit. It's the best opening they've had so far. Can they find though? JT jumps in, gets a hoof stomp straight off onto the Beastmaster, but there's the disruption saving. And Eve will be the follow-up. Emo forced to pop that BKB early on. Choi gets himself out.
Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
IG, looks like they probably will go back. Not so much CDEC though, they want to make a chase. See if they can punish anybody for pushing in that far. Although, IG, they may try to turn this as they do go for a double hoof stop. It's a great setup. Emo, he finds one. Now he finds 1, 2, 3 as well. It looks like Eve is getting very low on that gyro, and they get the Aegis. XM trying to get out of there. He's popped his BKB though, and now will they turn it again on the side of CDEC? Not really. 1, 2, 3. He'll lose his life. That's a dieback on the Beastmaster. XM, he's gone as well on the Razor. Eve trying to fight everyone by himself. James, he jumps in as well. They take down Emo on the TA. Flyby gets disrupted up, and he's gone on the CK. Dieback on him.
That's
Looks
a
so-
massive opening for CDEC now. They could just rush down mid, force that T4 in.
They've only really got to worry about Emo on the TA. The CK's gone for over 2 minutes. See Kaka trying to push in the bot lane. Will give up on that. He'll TP back towards his fountain. There'll be the buyback from the TA.
There you go. The Ags is up in Razor, so he can melt these towers.
For Eve, they're going to try and go for Megas first. Emo goes for the Hurricane on Eve. Disruption will save, but JT jumps in with the hoof stomp. XM slowing him down. Laguna now coming out from Kaka. He's just throwing it out sparingly. CDEC not actually going to force the issue quite yet. But go back in perhaps. They don't have the safety of an Aegis though, but they do have the cheese on the Razor. Eve, Hurricane Pike again on the gyro. It's a lot of damage this time from Emo.
Oh boy.
He almost takes him out. Now the Satanic is popped from Evo. They jump in. Nothing really happens as the cooldown doesn't really land on the Stampede units. Even if it did, they just run out. And that'll be enough of that. They successfully defend. CDEC could not push the issue they wanted. And the CK is going to be back up and ready to go very, very soon.
Yeah, I'd consider that a successful defense from IG. Going to be very happy with that. They did have to buy back in TA to force back CDEC. Still worthwhile. They hold on to their high ground. They haven't lost any additional tier 3. Haven't lost any other racks. Going to be very happy with that trade. CDEC now in a bit of a rough spot. They did expend some buybacks a while ago. They don't have any buybacks left on their side. There are 2 buybacks on IG. Nothing on CDEC's side. So if the next team fight goes wonky, that could be a massive opening for IG.
IG gonna start pushing the bot shrine now. Again, straight into that Radiant jungle.
Radiant's bottom shrine has fallen.
See a smoke come out from CDEC. Roshan still not going to be up for at least a minute and a half. Eve will find a nice double damage rune for himself now. Want more damage on him with that flak cannon. But who they can find with that roar. JT may be the target, and yeah, there it is. The roar comes out straight away. They force staff him away, but it's not going to be good enough. JT, he's forced to stampede. He will eventually escape. Just barely. What is that? I believe those are the Roshan times, yeah.
Thanks, Victoria. It's still going to be a while though. Half a minute until we find out when. And looks like that is going to be the next objective. I can't blame either team. It's on the edge once again. That has been the story of the series. Every single time we get to this point in the game where all of it boils down to one big team fight. And neither side is going to risk it at that point. They're going to play safe, take their time, build up, try to find that opening they need.
It's going to be 2 minutes. Roshan going to be up in 2. Both teams obviously going to try and fight over that. It's going to be a big one. That IG again going towards that Radiant side jungle. Trying to get some deep wards out with Ollie. Emo. Double damage rune available in the TA, but he can't get caught out. He will just stick with the team. They won't try to force any issues too quick. Aghanim Scepter now available on Cuckoo, so I imagine you're just going to see him spamming out more of those Lagunas. So he may get caught out here, and yeah, 1, 2, 3, jumps in, gets the roar off, but where's the damage? Nobody jumps.
Huh.
They were waiting for the other team, and now they come in. IG, they take advantage straight away. 1, 2, 3 is down on the Beastmaster. The Gyro trying to fight the best he can. Stampede will be there. Everyone just pops their BKBs, gets the hell out. Kaka, he may be thrown back on, and they turn back on him, but the Aeon Disc is procced. And again, CDEC forced to back. IG find a nice pickup on the Beastmaster. And they will rush. They are trying to find something else. They want more. There's not many buybacks available on the map. But any kill really matters right now. At the very least, they are going to be in prime position for that Roshan attempt.
This does allow them to clear out shrines as well, so they take that one last shrine out of the map. That does make this Roshan a much more straightforward affair. Is about to be up in 8 seconds. They have that trap inside for vision as well. They're going to be finding out exactly when it's up. They could have a big advantage if they do find that pickup.
The Roshan's going to be very quick from IG. CDEC, no time to respond. That's a lot of items on the deck. The Aghanim's upgrade, Refresher Shard. The cheese has been left there. Everybody completely forgot about that. No slots left on these heroes. Who did you give this Aghanim's blessing to?
It's on Ollie, so you have that Ag's upgrade on the death ward.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's going to be really strong in these clustered fights. Really great for the high ground defense. So Ollie's going to be able to get a lot of work done here for his team. A bit worrying for CDEC. Suddenly there's an 11k lead on IG. So they've clearly got the net worth advantage now. They've got to make use of it, though. They've really got to start clearing out these objectives.
They've just got to find the jump. Eve, 38k net worth. The TA, 36. I mean, you don't really get much higher than this. Jump in, JT, he finds the hoof, stop the gyro. They couldn't burst him though, disruption was there in time, and the raw on the TA, now Eve pops the Satanic, but he gets blown up. The Laguna from Kaka was enough. And IG look to finally take this tier 3 tower in the mid lane. Can they find a Rax? Fly. He popped the BKB to run out. He has an Aegis available. Arrow connects as well. He will be alright, they'll earn him up. No, they jump in. Melt Strike straight on James. Pop that Aeon Disc. James will be alright. The Stampede out now, but Disruption is going to be there on the Centaur. Fly, he'll try to go back in on 1, 2, 3, but JT's gone, and now Fly. He's lost his Aegis. IG They've got to turn around and try to help out the CK a bit. He refreshes, BKB's up, but doesn't really have a TP to use anyway. He just tries to run. It's going to be no good. He'll go down as well. Cuckoo being chased. He'll barely be able to blink out in time. Luckily for IG, both those cores have buybacks available now.
Yeah, it's not the biggest loss in the world. They can come in for the defense as it comes out. Still a pretty massive fight going the way of CDEC. They did have to expend their buyback, so you are vulnerable now. Eve, if he dies, that could spell the end of the game here. It's going to be a bit risky. Has to watch himself now. Can't allow himself to get blown up like that.
You got a refresher orb now on Cuckoo, so your pos 4 is at that point where he's starting to get 6 slotted. So 2 Lagunas, it's a very, very dangerous thing for CDEC to be up against. It's a quick blow-up potential.
Looking really dangerous. It's that Ag's upgrade in the Laguna that allows Kaka to really blow up.
JT jumps in, BKB, doesn't really work with Kaka, he just goes straight through it, but still, looks like they have found the dieback on JT, and now the buyback comes out from the CK. XM getting low on the Razor, he's going to be able to get out of there. CDEC. Arrow will connect on to Emo. They'll take the advantage, just go after the racks. That'll be the second racks for the side of CDEC this game. Only 1 left for the side of IG. Arrows, again, these arrows are so darn dangerous.
Their bot lane's really being pushed in though. They might lose their racks this way if they don't go back and stop that.
I mean, we're 60 minutes into the game. I'm not sure if it matters anymore. Everyone's 6 slotted. Emo, BKB's up. Eve, gonna BKB up as well. Fight back. And well, there's the Death Ward coming out. It doesn't really do as much as you'd hope. I mean, it bounces at the very least, but it tickles them. Emo cops an arrow in the meld strike, though Laguna's out on XM. He's getting blown up right now. Disruption will save. Emo does go down, but he'll buy back immediately, and somehow XM is still alive. Pops the BKB, doesn't want to die to the meld because Cuckoo gets roared up, but now 1-2-3 is going to be in trouble. Emo will find the Beastmaster, but the Mega Creeps have been achieved. And IG looking to try and find more kills as they are going to lose Ollie on that Witch Doctor. Now Fly going after Eve on the Gyro, doing a lot of damage. Emo will jump in as well. They've got to try and protect that Gyro. Fly going down quite low, and the Gyro might just find it. In fact, I think they have. I think it's GG. It's all over. Well, it's almost all over. There are buybacks coming out, but it's only 2 supports left. The Ancient has been exposed.
Kaka's trying to go for a base race.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Well, good on him for trying. It's probably the best option he has. He definitely can't defend.
Oh, what a game. What a game number 3. CDEC does take it in the end, 35-24, 61 minutes in. And that leaves us with, at the very least, 1 more game, and possibly 2 more, Mike, if IG does win the next one. It's going to be interesting to see. It's a best of 5. We'll see how it ends up, Mike, but CDEC does have the advantage now.
Yeah, well, it's MLP Dota and John X Fire. We're going to jump into the next lobby. We'll be right back in just a moment for game number 4 of this BO5 Grand Final. Won't be too